One great man means a great family, a great neighborhood, a better city, community, state, and the world. The question is, if not you, then who?
I found myself with opportunity in isolation to a lesser mind, I think, had the Marine Corps not been there. There would have been plenty of opportunities for that thought to transfer to consideration. And it was in one of those moments, I think, that I got myself to a point that everything paused. My whole life kind of, I won't say flashed, but highlighted before my eyes of where have I came from? Where am I at? Where am I going? I had a daughter on the way, and that was a very big connection for me of, you know, my biological committed suicide at this point 3 or 4 years prior. And I know how that affected me and my sister, and he wasn't even in our life, right? So it gave me kind of a forward-looking window as to what my daughter could walk into.
Yeah.
And then also considering my family, what that impact would be. And I've always looked at suicide as selfish, right? Like I've had to go to morgues and let families know and be there for that process, and being able to very vividly contextualize and visualize that whole journey of what that would look like in thought before consideration really woke me up to, okay, so that's not an option. And that's a definitive thing I'm telling myself. I've said it, like I haven't allowed myself to go there, but I'm allowing myself to go there to say this is not an option.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then what are we doing? Right? And that moment being that low and realizing I'm as low as I can go because this is not an option is what really woke me up and shook me of, okay, I need to take everything off and lay it down and audit my life, audit what I think has been beneficial, has been, accolades and success. And I need to audit all of this. And what am I taking with me moving forward in raising a daughter, in raising a family, and creating legacy? Because I'm as far back as I can go and I can't go any further.
That's good.
And if I'm going to now set forth on a path that's unknown, because I have a career that I could continue at the end of the day, but do I want to? I have an opportunity now to write this next chapter, right? And design it rather than default it.
Right.
So I would say that moment was the big come to Jesus moment, because prior to that, I wasn't even open to God in my life. I mean, when the accident happened, I had people telling me, man, God's got plans for you, that there's guardian angels over you. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about?
Yeah.
Right. Like at this time I was coming up just before my second divorce, and my first wife was Jehovah's Witness. My second wife was Jewish. I was raised Mormon. Like I've been all over the map.
Yeah, man.
So anybody who was talking God or Christ, I was like, man, I'm not hearing it. But that moment allowed me to, in that audit, wipe the slate clean and be like, okay, I clearly don't have this figured out.
Yeah.
So I need to be open to considering some new thought processes, some new ideologies. And shortly thereafter, I had actually been at a conference where Keith Craft spoke. And that was the first voice that really hit me in some ideologies and whatnot. That was like, this guy's got it figured out.
Yeah.
And had it been any other point in my life, I wouldn't have listened to it. And Scott Unkelbach had been mentoring me a little bit prior to that and took me to that conference.
Okay.
Pulled me to that conference, we'll say.
Okay.
And I got involved. It was network marketing, which what drew me was tribe aspect of it,
business opportunity. Yeah.
But what kept me was the relationships and the tribe and a lot of things developing over time.
Yeah.
And that was the hook that ultimately pulled me here. I packed everything and moved sight unseen and rented a house off Craigslist in Nashville at a truck stop at 2 a.m. It's like, I hope it's there.
Yeah.
Here's my deposit. And been at Elevate for 10 years now.
That's awesome.
Yep, 10 years. And been dating Mighty Men, not the men, but, you know, the platform there, since it was a dozen guys at Rudy's. But I very much been like, dip my toe in, about all this. Like, you guys are a little vulnerable for me, right? So I had a process I was walking at the time, and I've walked through it. Now, you know, like Mighty Man's a staple of my life. I travel around it. So it was a hook then that allowed God to really work on me and process, and for me to give my life to God in 2019. Josh baptized me, Josh Kraft, and I haven't looked back since. Right, I've been very obedient, very surrendering, and that's ultimately what led to you meeting me in Mighty Men, right? Yeah. So